Did you know that the 3DS is surprisingly easy to hack? So, disclaimer, you might have noticed in other videos I've been looking off to the side, presumably at a TV where the game is. Yeah, that's where my script is. I can't remember my writing to save my life, so even when I'm talking about games I played on the 3DS, can we just pretend that there's a TV there with the gameplay somehow? Okay, great. Can you tell I don't have much to say about the game already?
Oh boy, I can't wait to play Super Mario Land! Wait, what do you mean I already beat it? Yes, Super Mario Land is the shortest game in the entire series, with a grand total of 12 levels in 4 worlds. You can beat the whole game in less time than it'll take to watch all of my Mario reviews. I understand that's not a mistake. It's an original Game Boy game. It was built to be bite-sized, complete with no save feature. But when even the first game in the series is more than double the size, and it feels better to play, it leaves this game with basically no real purpose.
Wait, don't I usually start with some context before I get into the complaints?
Released in 1989, right between the Japanese and North American releases of Mario Bros. 3, Super Mario Land is the first Super Mario game made for a portable system, and a launch title for the original Game Boy in just about every region. It was the first game in the series made without Shigeru Miyamoto's direct involvement, though at the producer's helm was Gunpei Yokoi, the creator of the Game Boy itself, as well as the Game & Watch, Rob, games like Metroid and Kid Icarus, and even the original Donkey Kong and arcade Mario Bros. To some extent. One of Yokoi's frequent collaborators, Satoru Okada, served as director, while also helping to create the Game Boy. Interestingly, this was the first and last Mario game Okada worked on.
Oh, I wonder why.
So obviously the game is extremely simple graphically, even more so than Mario 1, though here frankly I think it's a lot more justified. This isn't like with the NES, where the system could definitely produce higher quality graphics, they just didn't know how to use it to its best ability. This was the original Game Boy, a system that could barely play puzzle games. The other launch titles were Tennis and Mahjong for fuck's sake. The much smaller sprites do wonders at preventing any kind of screen crunch, and the game runs pretty damn smoothly, maybe even smoother than some of the NES games. Similar story for the music and sound here too. It's not the most complex, and Koji Kondo's score is missed to a certain extent, but it's still a very catchy soundtrack, and hey, at least this is the first game in the series where sound effects don't mess up the music. Overall, the presentation is pretty great for the system. As for the gameplay?
Yeah, I don't love this game.
This game is very funky to play. The physics just feel off. It commits what I consider a cardinal sin of platformers. If you fall off a platform, you'll plummet downwards faster than if you had jumped off and got to that level again. This can make otherwise easily passable gaps so much harder than they need to be. The controls also feel really funky, even for an early Game Boy game. It's hard to explain, but it feels a bit too slippery when the level design is built to be more precise. In general, the level design ranges from lackluster to incredibly frustrating.
It doesn't help how little content there is when some of these levels are bad. Like, if you only have 12 levels and 3 of them suck, that's about a quarter of the game that you hate playing.
As for some of the more intentional differences from other entries, I don't mind that much. It feels like a bizarro version of Super Mario 1, complete with not being able to scroll left, but the super different enemies and level themes make it so much more creative than Lost levels. Hell, even the bosses are all fairly unique to fight, even compared to Mario 3. Granted, the fact that 2 of the boss levels are in vehicles that control completely differently from the entire rest of the game definitely contributes to that, but hey, it's still an upside, and this game desperately needs one.
Overall, though, the game just isn't all that good. I can understand if some people really like it, and I do appreciate some of its more original ideas, like the Super Ball, which you can only have one of on screen at a time, so even the cool ideas feel nerfed. Daisy is an interesting character these days, but in this game she's basically just Princess Toadstool, but with an actual name. But yeah, overall, while I didn't hate playing most of the game, I just didn't love it. Otherwise, I don't really have much to say. No, seriously, that's literally it. Go to the next video.